Welcome back to the channel, my friends. In this video, we are going to cover Amex cutting limits. That's right, American Express cutting credit card limits. We're going to give you what we know so far from community members. Hopefully that'll help guide you through what you might be going through with the credit issuer. Let's dive in. All right, so we mentioned before that American Express is starting to cut limits, and I wanted to give you some context and give you some more information about exactly what that looks like, right? So first and foremost, I think a great place to start is to remember that American Express is a credit card issuer. They make money off interchange fees, that is swipes. So higher spenders and people that can obviously pay off that spend are always gonna do best in that ecosystem, okay? So anyway, let's go through what I've got. So I'm gonna share with you one specific story, and then I'm gonna share with you some other data that a couple of senior members in the community have shared. These are people that have been in the ecosystem of American Express since, one of them since the 80s. Okay, so this is crazy good information. All right, so buckle up, let's get into it. So this member, I think, has 3 cards with American Express. 7 months ago, they were basically balance chased. So let me explain what balance chasing means. So this is when a credit card issuer will send you out a, essentially this is adverse action, some sort of email or message of some sort, and they'll say, hey, you've got X amount of time to pay down the balance. Or sometimes what I've heard with Upgrade is that they'll just cut your limit, and since it's being reported as an installment loan, it doesn't really matter, but they're gonna balance chase you. And then once you pay that down, they balance chase you again. So every time you pay down to the cut number that they just gave you, or the new limit that they just gave you, they'll cut you again. And they'll cut you all the way down to 0. So that's what balance chasing is called. So anyways, he got balance chased 7 months ago on one of his cards, and then it just happened again in May. So here's what it looks like. If you don't pay X by, Y date, we're gonna cut your limit. So the original card that it happened on was this Amazon business card. And like I said, that was 7 months ago. And so this one, I believe, was either BCP or BBP, but it doesn't matter. So let me give you some context now of where all these cards were at, because I know a lot of people leave out this detail so that then they can play the victim. This is a very trusted community member. So again, taking this at face value and believing that they're giving us all the information on this. But no late payments, no derogatories, no sketchy purchases, didn't try and manufacture spend or anything like that. No failed payments, nothing. So there's, that's it. That's the entire story. He was using it and leaving a balance, and when he had the balance, he wasn't using the card still. So that, I think, is an important note. So he thought the best way to do it, and this is how the average person, I assume, would think, is that, okay, I got a balance, they balance chased me, let me just pay off that without really using the card anymore. Not true. They want to see you still using the card. And again, it goes back to that core philosophy that they make money off the interchange fees. So anyways, they're pretty much a hardcore stickler with this. Like, they give you 3 days. It doesn't matter if it's the weekend. They could send you this on a Friday, and by Sunday, you got to pay this down, or they'll close the entire limit. But here's what that looks like. It gets worse. So let's say you had a $10,000 card with them, right? With an $8,000 balance. And you decide to pay $3,500 in the 3 days, it's usually 20 to 25%. And you do that, otherwise your limit's gonna be slashed, right? If you don't or can't pay that $3,500, let's say, they can theoretically slash your limit all the way down to 500, 1,000, whatever they want, and the difference becomes due, just like a charge card payment. So that would really bind somebody up. Like, again, thinking of your average person who's really going through it right now, that would be horrible, absolutely horrible. So again, the key takeaway from this is that if you're gonna leave a balance at all, you should probably still be using the card, which again, doesn't make sense, I know. And if you're afraid of getting balance chased by Amex because you're in this situation where you're carrying a balance on the personal or business side, then I would say to keep 20 to 25%, if not more, of the actual balance that's due available in case they hit you with this, because it's basically like a 3-day notice. And if you don't do it, then technically they can do whatever they want as a repercussion. Does that make sense? So anyways, let me pull up a couple of these screenshots that I took from community members chiming in on this. So let me pull that up. So here's the first screenshot, right? I'll add, people forget Amex is primarily a credit card issuer. That's where they make the vast majority of their money, interchange fees, AKA swipes. So that's the first thing. If I spend $15K a month, the fee they'll gain will outpace interest even if I carry that balance for 12 months. All right, next. Which way? This way? Yes. All right, next one. GW, been with American Express since the 80s. From my own 42-year experience with this company, American Express has been known to have higher interchange fees for the retailer over decades versus MasterCard Visa networks. At one period, American Express was a bit harder to use in other countries for quite some time, simply because they weren't in these countries to be used. This has changed quite a bit because Amex has continued to hit marketing hard in various countries for at least the last 20 years. Overall, American Express users continue to be the highest spenders despite Chase and other companies' vast consumer and business base. Once upon a time, American Express used Traveler's Checks program, was an amazing shoe-in for this company and very successful. Of course, it created a very large float of funds for Amex back in the day. Again, I think people forget about this. Like, there was a time when we wrote checks and traveler's checks and things like that. American Express, also too, I'm sure you've heard this before, they have the highest fees that they charge the retailer. So when you're swiping at the retailer itself, which I do think this stopped this limited adoption overseas, because a lot of people aren't gonna wanna pay that. The business itself, and then sometimes the business tries to pass on the fee to the customer. This happens in some parts of Asia. Believe it or not, they still do that to this day. They actually charge you the fee that they get charged by the bank. So their fee is gonna be higher. They work differently. You gotta remember that it's an entire closed loop ecosystem, that they are everything. They are the bank, the issuer, everything all in one, okay? So anyways, that's what I got for you in this video for American Express cutting limits. We've had other breakdowns in the community, but they all kind of fit this same bill. So that's why I wanted to share this specifically with you. But I'd love to hear from you in the comments below if you're facing this issue, or if you've got additional data points or tidbits you'd like to add in. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new here or you want to digest more material, watch more videos. Definitely helps promote the channel, yes. And commenting, liking, sharing all does help with the algorithms and getting this in front of more people. But you'll notice that throughout all the videos, there's a common thread. And that's what I want you to pick up on. These videos are very timeless in that sense, is that there's a common denominator going through all of these. And I hope you pick up on that and have great success with your app sprees. We'll catch you in the next video. See ya. Hey, you should subscribe. 60% of you are not subscribed yet. Right there. Okay, bye.